Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from around the world. Welcome to a very special edition of the Parent and Family Insights webinar. My name is Stephen Montooth. I am with Enrollment Management here at UC San Diego. We're so thrilled that you were able to make it today. And again, you all are joining us from literally all around the world. We're so excited to have you as parents and supporters of our newest international students that are incoming this fall. We know many of you have questions about how to best support your students, especially during this time of uncertainty. And so we are here to answer some of those questions that you have, share some valuable insights. Before we get started, just a few logistics. First, while many of you may have submitted questions in advance, and we really appreciate that, a lot of those questions were used to prepare today's session. We will also have the Q&A feature on, so please feel free to use the Q&A that's located in the Zoom toolbar to ask any additional questions as they come up. We'll have staff from our International Services and Engagement Office answering those questions in real time, but we'll also mark some of those questions to be answered live later in the session after we have a presentation with some of this great information. Additionally, closed captioning is available should you need it. To enable it, click the live transcript icon on the Zoom toolbar. Automated captions are available by selecting Show Captions. And finally, please note this presentation will be recorded. The presentation portion of the webinar will be recorded. We'll make sure to send you all a link to the video so that you can reference it at a different time. In order to protect your privacy, we will stop the recording once we get into the Q&A portion. So please be mindful of that. We want you to be able to answer, to ask your questions, and we'll have answers for those as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started, and I will pass it along to our moderator for today's session. He is the Associate Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management here at UC San Diego, Jim Rollins. And Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And to our families, thank you so much for being with us today. As Stefan mentioned, we've got a wonderful representation of the great global mix of incoming students on our registrant list for today. We know some people do and don't show up, but I'll tell you all, I just think it's great that about 4 dozen different countries were represented in our list of families who've registered for this webinar today. And that doesn't even come close to the total number that are represented at our whole incoming class. So again, we're just so grateful you can be here. It's always a magic little moment for us to find a time zone that will work for everybody. So we hope this time slot is working for you all. So again, my name is Jim, and I've been very happy to host a series of broader webinars throughout our admissions cycle leading up to this one today. I think you'll all understand what I mean when I tell you all that our group that's about to talk with you today, I told them that I was kind of sad we were doing this, but on the other hand, I'm so glad that we can, because we do know that this is an unusual year for some of the questions that are on your minds, things you don't necessarily think you should have had to think about as much as you do right now with the idea of global higher education and what's going on in the US. But please just know that in addition to those of us you're going to hear from today, there are just countless people on this campus who feel so grateful and honored to have your students be a part of our mix and want to be a part of mix of the incoming class at UC San Diego this year, all the way up to our chancellor himself, Pradeep Khosla. We've just got an enormous commitment of support to our office, to the ISEO office, supporting all of our work. And we're really grateful for that. And we want you to feel that support and that commitment from us at all stages. So that's what these webinars are about. They're not for our entire incoming classes families, but just for you as international ones. And as Stefan mentioned, we've even got our Q&A turned on today, which is unusual for us. But even then, I'll just ask in advance for your patience when we get to that part of our session today. If there are a lot of questions, we may or may not be able to keep up with them as much as you'd like. But again, that's why it was so great to get questions ahead of time that you'll see worked into our presentation. I know in addition to Gabi Hoffman, who you will hear from in just a few minutes, we've got 3 other members of her team, Grace, Lisa, and Peter, who are going to be part of keeping up with this for us as well. So thanks in advance to them, and thanks for all of you for being here. This is the first of a few of these special sessions we will offer this summer. We're going to probably do them at about a once-a-month clip for a few months here. And as of the next one, where we'll kind of hand things off to the ISEO team more and more, as of that next meeting, we even hope to have Chancellor Khosla attend himself. He's very eager to be able to talk with you all directly, and we're happy to make that possible for him. But today you're just stuck with me and some of our wonderful guests that we're going to start to hand it off to. So without much further ado, I do want to go ahead and hand some things off in that sense. Kind of our ringleader of all the ISEO work today is going to be one of the main people you hear from, and her name's Gabi Hoffman, if you haven't encountered her already. Gabi is our Senior Director of the International Services and Engagement Office. So that's what ISEO stands for. And I'm mainly going to turn things over to Gabi now to share some very important information with you. And then again, after that, we'll move into some of our question and answer time and have plenty of opportunity to go into more details. So Gabi, first of all, thank you for partnering with us on this as part of our handoff to your team. And welcome, and why don't you take it away?
Thank you so much, Jim, and welcome everyone. We are so happy you are here to be able to talk with you this morning, this evening, this afternoon, whatever time zone you are in currently. We are glad you're here, above all, you and your students hopefully joining us this fall. The entire campus community, as Jim was saying, ISEO, we are here to offer you a heartfelt welcome to campus. We'd like to think of ISEO, our International Services and Engagement Office, as your home away from home to help support you and your student while they're here during their time at UC San Diego. This is a place on our campus. We are centrally located where you can meet others from around the world, learn from one another, explore your interests, and above all, feel comfortable here at UC San Diego. So we are eager to welcome you and make you feel a part of the Triton community from the very beginning. So before I get into some of the informational pieces of our webinar today, again, as Jim mentioned, a lot of the questions that were submitted beforehand were incorporated into this presentation. So hopefully a lot of what you've asked will be covered here. But before I go into that information, I want to just give you a snapshot, an idea of the diverse campus community that you will be joining this fall. This is a look at our international student population here at UC San Diego. We have over 8,000 international students enrolled at UC San Diego this past academic year, you can see here. That is 18.6% of our campus population. This does include both undergraduate students and graduate students. So you can see here, taking a look at our numbers, we have just over 4,000 undergraduate international students. Looking at the majors here, typically business economics, mathematics, data science lead in our top majors. Most of our international students this past year were in Warren College, followed by Muir and then Marshall as well. But there's a pretty even distribution amongst all of our colleges in the college system. They're well supported in those different areas. I will say that this snapshot does reside on our website, and I'll go over later some of those links so you can do a deeper dive and see who you'll be joining this coming year. It's some really interesting information. As Jim mentioned, we have a very diverse population at UC San Diego. We are proud of our international student population and are here to support you in every step of the way. So going now into preparing for your time at UC San Diego, again, as Jim mentioned, this is, we understand, a very anxious time for many of you considering your studies in the United States due to a lot of the uncertainty, the geopolitical factors in play right now, and factors impacting higher education. But we want to assure you that we are doing everything to prepare your student and help you feel welcome here at UC San Diego. And that starts from the very beginning when you are admitted to UC San Diego. So some of this information will be familiar to you, but I do want to review it so that you and your student are aware of this. The first piece in preparing to come to UC San Diego, and many, if not all of you, have already completed this, is requesting, of course, your visa documents to come to UC San Diego. This document is processed by our office. We have been processing these documents since March of this year. I do want to address just fully, first and foremost, because of course this was a very common question that came through and we are very aware of it, some of the delays in processing those I-20 documents for students. ISEO received an unprecedented number of requests for visa documents this year. And the number of visa document requests we received was in a very concentrated period of time. Typically, we see these numbers of requests stretched out over a 3 to 5 month period of time. We saw this happen in 6 weeks. So this was also during a very, very busy spring quarter, working with our current international students and advising, because we provide comprehensive advising services as well as programming for your student while they are here. So this is what led to the delay, but I do want to assure everyone here on this webinar that the backlog in I-20 requests has been addressed. Normal processing times are returning, and your student should be receiving their I-20 document soon. We do understand the anxiety this causes. We do know these are required to book visa appointments. We're very, very aware of that, and we're working exceptionally hard to get these documents to you. So we thank you immensely for your patience and in your consideration as we work through these requests this summer. But if you haven't done this piece already, this is where you would go to our inewstudent.ucsd.edu site. These instructions will walk you through exactly what type of visa document to apply for. The vast majority of students will apply for an I-20 for the F1 visa. We do have some students who apply for the J1 as well. These are typically students who are sponsored by their home government to pursue their studies here in the United States. If you're not sure, just follow the instructions and it will guide you through. The next piece in making sure that you are well supported coming to UC San Diego this fall is staying informed. We have a wide range of resources and information that resides on our isco.ucsd.edu site. And more specifically, you'll see here, we have a set of webinars that we have been running since March of earlier this year to prepare you for your time in the United States here at UC San Diego. If you go to inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu, you will see full-length webinars. They're typically about 45 minutes to an hour each that cover these various different topics, from the application process for a US visa and what that looks like, to housing questions, to student health insurance, immunizations, finances, and how to handle that with your student accounts, as well as campus safety. And there are more on that list as well. This is not exhaustive. So I highly encourage you to view those recordings, again, at the web link here. That will give you a lot of that good information. We have experts and campus partners on those webinars to deliver that information and answer questions in that format. So it hopefully should give you a really good sense of what to do and what to prepare for when you come here. In that same vein of keeping informed, it is critical that you are checking your UCSD email. Make sure you are checking this regularly and consulting with the many, many resources that are available to you before coming to UC San Diego. This is where campus will communicate with you primarily. It's just your UCSD email. This is also where ISEO sends our regular newsletters on a bi-weekly basis. We provide important updates about getting started, but also about visa regulations and changes to the immigration landscape. All of this is presented in our newsletters every other week, sent directly to your UCSD email. So it's really important that you check. We will also send personal messages from ISEO to this inbox. If there are any questions about your application, for example, for visa documents, that is routed to your UCSD email. So please make sure you are checking that. Of course, admissions messages and various other campus entities, especially when you get started here in September. This is how the campus will communicate with you. So it's important to check regularly. I also want to point out our immigration news updates and FAQs page. That's iupdates.ucsd.edu. This is a really good resource for keeping up to date with what the landscape looks like in the United States right now as it pertains to visa, immigration issues, and potential impacts to our international community. We will post information here and explain some of the latest news that comes out, so it is digestible, easier to understand and contextualize. And we also have frequently asked questions listed there so that you are able to see how this might impact you or your student in coming to UC San Diego. So I highly recommend visiting this site, bookmarking it, and making sure that you're checking it regularly for updates throughout the summer. So I want to spend a little bit of time now on the visa concerns piece that understandably is top of mind for a lot of people as we head into this new academic year. And I'm going to focus on the pause on visa appointment, some of these concerns, as it obviously has the most impact on our new students coming in, and kind of walk through some of the implications, what it means, what to expect, so everyone is kind of clear on what this means moving forward. So as some of you might know, in late May, the US State Department ordered that US embassies and consular sections pause the scheduling of F1, M, and J1 visa appointments. These are, of course, our student visas that are critical in coming to the United States. This was the reasoning behind this was that this needed to be paused for the US State Department to implement enhanced vetting protocols to review visa applicants when they come in for their appointment. As of June 18th, just last week, visa interviews have resumed, but as the State Department promised, with enhanced vetting measures in place. So your student may or may not have been able to book a visa appointment yet in this last week or so. We are seeing sort of a mixed bag of availability. But when your student does go to that visa appointment, applicants are now required to adjust the privacy settings on their social media accounts to public so that the consular official can review their social media as part of the vetting process. So be prepared for that. Do know that. As I mentioned, appointment availability will vary by location. We've had some students be able to book appointments since last week. Others are still waiting. So we recommend monitoring visa appointment availability frequently, multiple times a day if you can, to make sure that you're able to get a spot, a visa appointment. And again, ISCO is now processing documents within regular processing times, and we are prioritizing applicants who applied the earliest this year for their visa documents. So you should be receiving those soon in order to book that visa appointment. So a little review here of who needs to apply for a visa, because not every new international student necessarily needs to apply for a visa. For example, if they are already in the United States or have held a student visa that is still valid, there are some exceptions to the case, and I want to go through what this looks like. So the most common case we see of a student needing to apply for a visa is if they, of course, have future or continued status in the United States. So that's all of you. Students who are starting enrolling in a future term at a US institution will need to have a valid F1 or J1 visa. You are seeking entry to the United States. That is the other piece. And of course, if you don't have a current F1 or J1 visa stamp in your passport, all of these factors combined means you need to get a visa, right, and attend one of these appointments. This is not necessarily the case for some individuals, as I mentioned, who, for example, might be already at an institution in the United States. Either they are completing or have completed high school in the United States and already hold an F1 visa that is valid into the future, or if they have completed coursework at a community college in the United States and are transferring and they are a transfer student and they have a valid visa. These are the most common cases we see where if the student has that visa stamp, it is F1 status. And if it is a date into the future, sort of, beyond when you plan to enter the United States to begin your studies here, you may use that visa with your UC San Diego I-20 to enter the country. You do not need to apply for a new visa stamp in that case. Even if the school name on the visa stamp does not match UC San Diego, that is okay. It is still valid for use. So just that note there for folks who have students who are in this situation to be aware of that. You can always contact ISCO and speak to an advisor if you want someone to check over your status and make sure this is the case for you. But this is typically the case. For most of our students, though, you will be having to apply for a new visa. So just be prepared for some of the points I discussed earlier in preparing for that US visa appointment. I will say as well, on our iNew student page that I referenced earlier, there is a checklist on what to expect in applying for your US visa. So if you're not able to view the previous webinar that goes over applying for your US visa, you can look at it in checklist format on our website and review the information there on what to expect and what information to have with you, so you're as prepared as possible for that visa interview. All right. The other concern that I want to address today is, of course, travel restrictions that were announced earlier this month and how this impacts some of our students coming in this fall. So on June 4th, travel bans were issued by a presidential proclamation that went into effect on June 9th. This restricts fully entry for individuals from the countries listed here: Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. They also include partial restrictions, so that means a suspension of B1, B2 tourist visas, as well as F1, M1, and J1, I should say here too, as well, visas for those from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. So please be mindful of these travel restrictions. We are monitoring these very, very carefully. We have not heard of other news of additional travel restrictions yet, but we know that things can change swiftly. So we are monitoring this carefully and how this might impact additional students. There are a few notable exceptions I just want to note here for those who might be from these regions. Those who are green card holders, US lawful permanent residents, the ban here, the travel restrictions do not apply. If you are a dual national, let's say you are have nationality, you are a citizen of Myanmar, but you hold UK citizenship as well, you can use your UK citizenship to enter the United States. So those traveling on a passport from an unaffected country can still come in. Certain athletes traveling for major international sporting events. We know we have a lot of international student athletes here as well. Holders of diplomatic or official visas are not subject to these bans, and already admitted asylees or refugees are not subject. So again, we are monitoring this very, very carefully. We want to make sure that our students are prepared. Do know that if your student is from a country impacted here, if they are already in the United States, let's say they are a transfer student, they have stayed here for the summer, they are not impacted by this ban by being in the United States. It only impacts them if they leave the US and try to re-enter. So visas will not be revoked. None of this was stated in any of these travel restrictions or bans. We do not know of any of that happening. This just impacts students who are outside and wish to come in to the United States from these countries. Okay. So I know this is a lot of information and we will get to the Q&A that's coming up shortly, but I just want to go over some of the campus support and resources that we do offer your student during these tumultuous times. We understand deeply how much these actions over the last several months can really take its toll on our students and our community here. And we know how much anxiety and confusion this may cause as you try to focus on moving forward, planning your academic pathway here in the United States. So I just want to stress that each and every one of our international students is welcome here on our campus, and we value you deeply. Our research, our learning is bettered immensely through your talents, your diverse perspectives, and our community is made richer and more vibrant in the friendships and the collaborations and the connections that we have with all of you. So you are all welcome here, and that will never change at UC San Diego. So with that, I'll go over a few support resources here in detail that you can make note of to come through in here on the next few slides. So in terms of how we will support your student in the coming year, this is a list of different resources here. We have advising and communication pieces that we are very cognizant of. We will continue to issue visa documents for our students, our scholars who are here as well. We will continue throughout the year and the years ahead to host regular town halls, listening sessions similar to this to keep folks informed, post timely updates on our FAQs and iUpdates page, and continue to provide individual advising and referrals here at ISCO. In terms of advocacy, we have strong partnerships, as you can see here, of course, with admissions, the colleges, student affairs, campus life, and other support units to help support your student. We are in regular communication with UC Office of the President and UC Federal Government Relations to advocate for pieces that matter to us as an institution in protecting our community. And we are in regular communication with campus leadership on issues that impact our community. We have great relationships with our counseling and psychological services on campus that provide amazing services to our students throughout the year. We offer a variety of programming such as Art of Belonging and other community programs at iprograms.ucsd.edu, as well as basic needs support. We have a basic needs office that provides that support as well if your student is struggling in any ways. And in terms of what you can do, sometimes this can feel powerless, right? With so much is happening in the world. What can you do? What can your student do? Is the biggest piece I can't stress enough is staying up to date. Keeping up to date on updates and our adjoining FAQs so you understand the situation and know how to move forward in certain circumstances. The federal updates page I mentioned earlier contains up-to-date information on federal policy shifts as well. And again, our weekly newsletters are really, really important to providing timely updates. All of our students, now more than ever, it's just important to follow rules to maintaining legal status, right? Making sure that you're going through that maintaining visa status checklist that is on our website, attending our workshops that we have throughout the year, speaking to an advisor when you have a question. If you're not sure, come to ISEO and we can help you work through it. If there are more complex legal issues at play, we can help provide and connect you to resources for attorneys if there are more complex issues. And then just assess your risks in terms of travel and so forth. Weigh potential travel risks against your personal, academic, or professional factors and goals. Develop contingency plans. Think through what you want to do and how you want to mitigate certain risks. And then, of course, always stay in touch with your college, ISEO, your department, so we know what your plans are and how we can help support you in your plans moving forward. So I'm going to just put a few links up here, and then after this one, a few additional resource links that I'll keep up so you can make a note of them and you can visit them. But just walking through here, I want to highlight our iseo.ucsd.edu page. This is our main office page that has all of the information I went over today as a landing point, and you can navigate through there. If you want to go straight to our student section, it's istudents.ucsd.edu. Our events, our support programs are at iEvents and iprograms.ucsd.edu. Our iUpdates page is listed here as well. And then, of course, our contact information, icontact.ucsd.edu, will give you the different ways that you can come in and talk to an ISEO advisor, either virtually or in person. And before we jump into our Q&A, the last slide here, I'm going to leave this up here so folks, again, can take a look and make a note of the different pieces that I talked through this morning. So again, our policy updates, our maintaining visa status checklists, newsletters, safety, and legal resources as well. And I'll leave these here so that you can make a note of them. And from here, we'll go ahead and jump into our Q&A, and I think we'll go ahead and get started with a couple of questions that have come through to get the ball rolling. For our new students, you will automatically be added. There's every time a student is admitted, their UCSD email address is fed into our forms.
Yeah,
exactly. The student. For parents wanting this information, if you go to inews.ucsd.edu, there's another
how did I know it would start with that?
You can take a look at our newsletters, and it's this is the long link here under ISEO newsletters, but you'll see the different types of newsletters that we offer to help get signed up. And I know through our parent and family programs as well, there is a newsletter that goes out regularly where we put in information. So make sure you're connecting. I'm sure Parent and Family Programs has reached out. They put a lot of our information in their newsletters that goes to parents directly as well.
Yeah, that's so great. And again, I'll bet most of you all are set, but I just figured I'd have Gabby say it out loud, just in case there's something that doesn't quite work. Speaking as somebody who's had 2 of his own kids go through college, I'll tell you that the minute Gabby says it's students who are automatically added, you all know that sometimes your students don't put your information on the application. That's just our point in life right now. So if they didn't add you, this is how we take care of you. So that's great. So, Gabi, before we do launch into kind of a more open Q&A, we're getting a lot of questions ahead of time in the Q&A section right now. You've talked about it a lot. A lot of people, of course, really want to just hear more and more about the timing part of this with the I-20. And before I even pitch a question to you, I just want to remind everybody, it's one of these interesting moments where going to UC San Diego and a few other schools, mainly on the West Coast of the United States, we are on the quarter system, which is definitely unusual within the US, where most schools are on the semester system. And if you aren't familiar with that difference, you may have a family friend down the street or somebody else whose student is attending a US school that is on the semester system. And those schools are all starting somewhere in August, sometimes even early August. So before we even talk about how much time it's going to take or what we do or don't know, I just want to make sure everyone knows your student is coming into a quarter system school that does not begin instruction until all the way into the latter half of September. So September 22nd, I believe, is our first day of fall quarter this year. So just a reminder, you've already got more time to work with this summer than most other students would. And I just want to make sure we're really clear on that. Housing move-in is about a week before that, and several other things we'll probably end up talking about in the Q&A as well. But I want to really make sure everyone remembers this time around, especially in 2025, this is an advantage of coming into a quarter system school, is that we've got a little bit more runway to work with, as the old saying goes. But just in general, Gabi, I mean, you've already touched on this some anyway, but let's just really cue it up here. What can you tell people beyond what you've already shared about when they'll receive their I-20? And are there any other things maybe to just point out about why there might be delays in getting it?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Jim. It's this year, as I mentioned earlier, we had an unprecedented number of folks applying for their visa documents much, much earlier and in a concentrated period of time than we have ever seen in my 14 years here at UC San Diego. So again, what we normally will do, UC San Diego and ISEO specifically, we will normally see requests come in over a 3 to 5 month period of time, and we will process accordingly through those 3 to 5 months. We saw the same number of requests we would see in 5 months, all submitted within 6 weeks. We just simply did not have the staffing capacity to keep up with that level of request in the middle of our quarter, where we were also supporting our current international students with high-touch advising needs. As you may recall, or you might know, in the spring quarter, there were a lot of changes, a lot of pieces happening around student visas in the United States. So we were doing a lot of heavy advising with our current students. So it was sort of a perfect storm, if you will, of circumstances that very unusually we are more behind this year than we would like to be in issuing those visa documents. However, we have dedicated weeks at a time of just processing these documents so that we can get these to your student as quickly as possible. We're keenly aware of how important it is to get that visa appointment. We know you need this document. So we are working exceptionally hard to get this out. As I mentioned, we are getting back down to our 15-day processing time, and we are working from the time that the student submitted their application. So if someone submitted in early May, we are working in chronological order from that submission date in the order of when they submitted. So what is most helpful for our office, we understand the pressure and we understand the need for these documents. If you have submitted the document, it is under review. We ask that you refrain from sending multiple emails to our office and asking for these, because what it does is it actually takes a time away from processing, because now we are answering questions about the status instead of focusing time on being able to issue the document. So we just ask for your patience. Know that we are doing everything we can to issue it. We have not forgotten about your student. If there is a question, if there is a missing document, if there is something that we need, we will reach out via our iServices portal to ask them for that additional information. So make sure you are checking your iServices portal regularly as well. If there are missing documents or things that need to be updated, we will address it there. But again, we are working back down to our normal processing time currently. Should be on track to getting those documents to your students soon.
Thanks, Gabi. One more question, and then we'll start to kind of move over into what other people have put in the Q&A section. And you and I will probably both end up sharing some thoughts here with everybody. Really key question. And everybody knows, a few of you all are asking in the Q&A, can you give me the odds on whether this will get done in a certain amount of weeks? We just can't, I don't think, is the answer to that. But when we think about this, I know some of you are moving on to that next question that's on our minds, which is, what options will UC San Diego offer in the event that an international student is unable to make it in time to attend classes in person this fall? So, Gabby, I think we both want to share some things. You want to kick us off with that part of this? Because I know that's the next thing, is what if this doesn't come together in time?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we definitely understand that and wanting to make solid plans moving forward. The university is looking at different ways of making sure that we can support our students in any way we can to helping you get here. We have not there haven't been any specific plans made. We are still working through different pieces and what that support might look like. But there are options that are being worked on. And we will, once we have more information, be able to communicate that. That being said, as Jim mentioned earlier, we have time. We are at the end of June right now. Classes don't begin until the end of September. So a lot can happen in that time period, right? With in terms of opening of visa appointments and so forth. But we do want folks to know that the campus is being very intentional and thinking through these different options. We are just not quite there yet in solidifying sort of those plans. We want to kind of see what happens over the next few weeks. But Jim, I don't know if you wanted to add more.
Yeah, I love that foundation you've given there. Yeah, just a few more things to add, everyone. And again, we wish we could give an answer that covers exactly every scenario you all are trying to wrangle with. We're trying to give general advice, and I hope you all feel like you could follow up after today as needed as well. But here's a key thing to tell you along with this. We have always had here, for various reasons, the ability, even if admissions office doesn't tend to grant many exceptions like this, we've always had the mechanism in place for a student to do what's called requesting a deferral of their admission. We're very much a very traditional campus who most of our classes are offered in person, not online, and we really only start new students in the fall. And I'll come back to that part of this in a second as well. But in general, if a student says, I'd like to defer my admission for a year, we imagine we will be very accommodating for this with international students more than ever this year. But we also really want to emphasize that you should not feel the need to make that request right now. Again, there is a lot of time left. I think I'm counting on the calendar. I think it's about 13 weeks between now and the start of fall term. And like Gabi's saying, there's a lot that can and will happen over that time. But if it should come to this, we want to make sure you know that possibility is out there. If you shoot us a note today that says, I really want to talk about this for my student, we'll start talking with you. But what we'd basically be looking at that point is putting off that student not starting until fall of 2026 instead. That's a long time. So we hope this will not end up being that place, but I want to let you all know we are already equipped, just as a normal matter of business each year, to look at that kind of thing. We're not really a place that has a lot of options for students to start online or to start in winter quarter. But please know, among the many things we've told you that our whole campus is working on right now, we are having conversations about what might be possible for a student that starts in the fall taking remote coursework, what that would look like. But again, I just want to tell every family on here very candidly, very honestly, we don't have a lot of options compared to some other schools that just deal in online education a lot more. We don't tend to be that kind of place. So if any of you all want to ask more about that or have your student look into it more, probably a good place to start would be if the student is connected to a particular department or major, talk with that department or major and just see what they think is possible. The general answer is going to be not a lot, but it might be a possibility. And again, mainly we hope this will work itself through. The other thing I want to really emphasize on top of all of this is that we are going to be extraordinarily accommodating. We are going to be unusually open to working with you all summer long. And that's not only about, even if you talk with us a week before fall term starts about deferring because you're having these issues, we will absolutely do everything we can to make that happen. And that goes for deposits your student may be putting down or being asked to put down. We will work with all of this stuff. And you can be assured that no one on this campus is going to tell your student that a deposit they put down on something, tough luck, like we might have to do in other circumstances, because we know this is just not usual territory for us. It is very unusual. So just be assured, we're not going to let you be the one that has to have some kind of penalty because of things that are completely beyond your control. So that's a theme we want you to hear underlying all these answers. So we just want to thank you again so much for being here. We're going to hand it back over to Stefan to wrap up a few things. And then again, we hope to see you at next month's webinar. But Stefan, take it away.
Yes, thank you so much, Jim and Gabi, as well as the amazing ISEO team in the background for answering all of your questions in the Q&A. Just a reminder, we will send the recorded part of this session to you all via email once we get it downloaded and prepped. So stand by to receive that. Additionally, as Jim mentioned, we will be hosting another webinar next month. We'll send out an invitation, but mark your calendars for Tuesday, July 29th. It will be another 8 a.m. Pacific time, so the same time on that day. And we are working to include Chancellor Khosla in this session as well. Again, be on the lookout. We'll send an invitation in the coming weeks. With that, just want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day, and for some of you staying up late. We hope it was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, take care and go Tritons.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.